CRD is chronic respiratory disease. It is chronic, meaning it lasts continuously for a long period of time, and it is difficult to cure or eradicate. To prevent and treat CRD as a poultry farmer, like I always say, it starts right before you stock your day-old chicks, starting from proper cleaning and disinfection to sourcing your chicks from a reputable hatchery or vendor with good track records. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can prevent or treat CRD in your broiler, thereby making good profit from your poultry endeavor. I will also be giving out some tips that I use to raise CRD-free broilers at the end of this video. Welcome to Farmbiz with Markay. In this channel, we show you how to maximize profit in farming through creativity. Let's get right to it. CRD, which is otherwise known as crude respiratory disease, is an infectious respiratory disease affecting chicken of all age group. This disease is caused by the bacteria called Mycoplasma gallisepticum. This bacteria can live in the chicken feces for some days, depending on the environmental conditions. At lower temperature, the bacteria can live for more days. This bacteria, called Mycoplasma gallisepticum, infects the respiratory tract in poultry, thereby causing CRD, that is crude respiratory disease. This bacterial disease can cause depressed or stunted growth on your chicken, especially broilers. It can also cause drop in egg production. These are economic losses, as this can decrease your profit margin drastically. CRD can be transmitted through two routes mainly. One is through the mother hen or the parent stock, which we call the breeder stock. The second route is through poor biosecurity. This could be direct contact with infected bags of feed or contaminated feed, contact with white birds or rodent, etc. It can also spread through air and dust. Even if a bird appears healthy, stress can trigger the disease to become active and spread to other birds. The best way to manage Mycoplasma gallisepticum is through prevention, including biosecurity measures to prevent introduction of the disease. Having talked about causes and the route of transmission of this disease, which is the CRD, how do we know our birds are infected with CRD, you may ask? This leads us to the clinical sign or symptoms of CRD in chicken. Number one symptom is difficulty in breathing. Number two is watery discharge from the eyes or nostrils of the birds. Number three is sneezing. You could also observe coughing or snoring while breathing. You could also observe gurgling sound. You could hear such a sound from the chicken while breathing. Now, a ruffled feather could be a sign of this CRD as well. And then another thing you could also observe is decrease in appetite. You observe that you give the amount of feed you normally give to your birds. Within a certain time, they will finish it. Then you come back, you observe that the feed is still somehow there. They've not really eaten much. So you need to watch out for CRD. This is very, very important, as this is one of the indication or sign of crude respiratory diseases. Another sign is slow growth. They might be eating, though not that eating much, but the growth rate is not commensurate with the amount of feed you are giving them. You need to watch out for CRD. This is very important. Cough could be a symptom of other respiratory disease like infectious coryza or infectious bronchitis. If you are getting values from this video, kindly do well to hit the subscribe button. Thank you so very much. Next, we'll talk about is prevention and treatment. As I always say, when it comes to disease, prevention is far better than treatment or cure. You actually start the prevention or treatment when you take the decision to properly clean and disinfect your pen before stocking your day-old chicks. This is very crucial to your success in poultry farming. Very, very important. When you observe any sign of CRD in your flock, the first step you take is to isolate the sick bird. Move it to a separate pen. Then you need to make provision for such a space. Move it to an isolated pen. This means you have to be very observant and vigilant especially when cleaning or feeding your birds. Before administering any form of medication, that is when you observe any form of diseases in your flock, you need to replace the litters immediately. This is very important as the birds are in physical contact with their poo through the litters all the time. So the first step you take is to quickly replace your litter. If you are using a deep litter system to raise your birds. Otherwise, that is, if you are using the cage system, you need to clean up the cage, that is under the cage where the poo drops, clean up everywhere before administering your medication. This is very important as some of this Mycoplasma gallisepticum lives in the feces. So you need to clear up the feces before administering your treatment. Now, the first treatment you administer is to treat with antibiotics that contains tyrosine and tetracycline, preferably one that contains gentamicin and doxycycline. I have found this to be very effective in preventing CRD. If you have been a broiler farmer for some time, you will know how costly Tylodos is. That is the drugs they use in treating CRD, crude respiratory diseases, very effective. You will know how costly Tylodos is. But I have found one called Cobb to be very effective and less expensive as well. This has somehow reduced my production cost. Ensure the place where you keep the isolated birds is not too cold, as this condition can prolong the recovery process. When it comes to treatment, do not practice selective treatment. That is, treat all the birds, as some of the best case might not be pronounced yet. Secondly, provide multivitamin containing vitamin, amino acid, electrolyte, and calcium to cope with the stress and increase the stamina of the chicken's body. Thirdly, reduce the stocking density or create more space for the birds to discourage buildup of ammonia gas in the pen. This is very, very important. Now, when you observe, as you get into the pen, you feel some peppery sign on your eyes and on your nose. That's to tell you the ammonia level is very, very high. So you need to ensure that the stocking density is reduced and the ventilation is free. There is a very good ventilation in the pen. Very, very important for your success. The next thing you also do is to vaccinate your birds. Vaccinate your birds. Don't wait until there is a disease breakout before running to go and vaccinate your birds. No, follow your vaccination chart to vaccinate your birds as at when due. Now, while medications can reduce the symptoms and help with recovery, they cannot eradicate CRD permanently. Mycoplasma gallisepticum can survive for days to weeks in dust, feather, and manure. The next thing we will talk about is prevention. Prevention is better than cure, they say. Why waiting for disease to break out before treating when you can prevent it? In preventing CRD, ensure you get your chicks from a reputable hatchery or vendor with a good track record. This is very important. In almost all my video, you hear me stress this point. Very, very important. Getting your chicks from a reputable hatchery. If you want your chicks to grow very massive, this point is very, very key. Very, very important. So you get your chicks from a reputable hatchery with a vendor that has good track record. Very, very important. Now, the next thing you also ensure you do in preventing CRD is to ensure your pen is properly cleaned and disinfected before stocking your day-old chicks. This is very important. You can check out my video up here on how to clean and disinfect your poultry pen before stocking your day-old chicks. Now, the third point you need to note in preventing CRD is to source your litter materials from a clean source and remove any foreign materials that might be present in the litters, and ensure you cover the litters with carton or newspaper for the first few days if you are using sawdust. But if you are using wood shave, the first 1 day is enough for you to cover the litters, just for the chicks to get used to where they need to be eating from and where they need to be drinking from. This is very crucial. Do not expose your birds to stress. This is very important. Now, you may ask, what is stress? Stress is anything that can cause your birds to respond to the environment negatively. So do not expose your birds to such circumstances like noise, especially when the birds are very young. You don't need to expose them to too much noise. Just give them space. Ensure you anything that will encourage stress in them is totally eradicated. Very important in order not to trigger this disease. Maintain strong biosecurity. This is very, very key. Very, very important. Your pen, like I always said, is not a recreational center. No unauthorized access should be granted. Very important. And if they must enter your pen, make sure they use the food bath at the entrance to decontaminate themselves before entering the pen. Prevent rat and other predators, wild animal, from entering your pen. This you do by using wire mesh to net around your pen, so that blocking all the crevice, any hole that they might pass through into your pen. So you use this wire mesh to block them out. Now the sixth point is to ensure you practice all in, all out. That is, do not mix birds of different age group. Very, very important. Once you are done with the first batch, clear the whole batch, sweep out everything, clean the pen before restocking. Do not leave some birds there hoping to add the new ones you'll be bringing to them. No, you'll be looking for trouble if you do that. So practice all in, all out. That's what I mean. Now the seventh point is to ensure you vaccinate your birds as at when due, and follow your medication chart religiously. This is very, very important. Now the eighth point is to maintain good ventilation. I know I've said this before. In your pen, this is very important, as this prevents ammonia buildup in your pen. Very, very important. If you have made it this far, thank you so very much. These are my secret tips I promised to give at the end of this video. These are the secret tips I promised that I normally use in every batch of broilers I raised. Number one, start administering antibiotics from day one, after a few hours of the chicks taking the water containing glucose or honey. This you do from day 1 to day 5. At day 20, you repeat these antibiotics for another 1 day. Now, secondly, you administer anti-CRD at day 24 to day 26. I normally make use of Cobb stop, as it has been giving me good results consistently, and it is less expensive than Tylodos. If you find this video helpful, kindly do well to hit the subscribe button, like and comment in the comment section below, as this will do a whole lot for us in helping us to grow our channel and reach a larger audience. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.